GR, the two letters that's quickly becoming the most respected brand within the enthusiast landscape. What started as just a passion project for then Toyota President and CEO Akio Toyoda has now spawned into a 4-model strong lineup, starting from the GR Supra to the GR Yaris and GR86, and now this, the GR Corolla. Like the other three, this is also a car that's built for the enthusiast. It's got the mean looks, a throaty exhaust note, and it'll also only be offered with a manual gearbox.
But this here has 4 doors, actual rear seats, and a boot that's big enough to fit your shopping bags. So does it still deserve the badge on its tailgate? Well, let's go and fuel up and find out.
Our best fuel for unbeatable performance is now yours.
This review is brought to you by Petronas Premax 97 with Pro Race, the preferred fuel for a more powerful, responsive, and efficient drive.
Number of doors aside, there's no denying that the GR Corolla is a very handsome car. It's aggressive without being overdone, and just by looking at it, you know that it packs some serious performance. But it also doesn't try to shout it in your face, so unlike the FK8 Type R, you don't have to be a complete yobo to own one of these. For a car that you'll be driving to and fro from work, I think a little bit of maturity is probably a wise choice since you'll be parking this car next to your other colleagues. And on that note, I think Honda probably learned a lesson or two from that car because, well, just look at the all-new Type R. Anyway, in terms of details, the GR specific front grille here is framed nicely by the sharp scythe-looking headlights, and all of the extra vents on the bonnet, the front bumper, and the front fender all help add to the extra visual drama of it all. Now here in Malaysia, you also get the forged carbon roof as standard, and it's definitely a unique look compared to the usual carbon fiber weave. But more importantly, it's more than just for show because in addition to looking pretty cool, it also does help lower the car's center of gravity and its overall weight to help make its handling that much more sweeter. The best angle for me though is from the back. These bulging rear haunches just give it so much road presence, and thanks to the wider tracks and the 18-inch wheels, the wheel wells here are also properly filled out for a much more muscular, much more powerful stance on the road. And look, they've also taken a page out of Honda's playbook with a tri-outlet exhaust. That's one for each cylinder.
The unique exhaust system isn't just there for looks because they do actually help with the engine's performance. The center tailpipe is equipped with a valve that opens above a certain RPM, reducing back pressure within the system to improve exhaust flow and thus increasing the engine's output to its full potential.
You may argue that the GR Corolla is in a way the least GR model in the lineup because while all of the other models are bespoke, this here, well, is based on the Corolla hatchback. But don't for a moment think that it's just a couple of extra badges on the outside, because the GR model here is built through a unique manufacturing process at the GR factory by a team of specially selected Takumis. It's got additional structural braces and well joints to increase its body rigidity, and actually most of the exterior body panels are unique to the GR model. In fact, most of what you see in front here is made out of aluminium to save weight. And when the results look so damn good, who cares if it's just another Corolla?
Sadly though, the same can't really be said for its interior, because if you've ever seen the inside of a Corolla or Corolla Cross, well, that's pretty much what you're getting here on the GR model as well.
The dashboard here is essentially taken wholesale from the regular road-going cars, and sure, you do get these sport seats wrapped in suede and some additional red stitchings on the inside, but does that make it a GR? I don't think that's enough. That said, you do at least get some special displays on the instrument cluster, including some performance-focused items such as the G-force meter and a rev counter that changes colors when you approach the red line. It's a bit video gamey, but I think it's really fun. As for ergonomics, you do sit quite high up off the ground, but aside from that, the steering wheel, the gear lever and the handbrakes are all in perfect reach for the driver. The steering wheel itself is taken straight out of the GR Yaris and it's mostly fine, if not a little too thin for my liking. And also from the GR Yaris are these seats, which are pretty comfortable on long journeys and they do hold you quite well in the corners. But since this is the first GR model with 4 doors, I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about how it is as a daily roundabout. And I do have to say that it does check most of the boxes that you'd expect from a Toyota. Starting all the way up here, this 9-inch head unit now comes with a wireless Apple CarPlay connectivity, which is good because you can just tuck your phone away on the wireless charging pad when you're just cruising around town. You also get this dual zone climate control and the push start button as standard. And here in Malaysia, UNW Toyota is also throwing in a complimentary dash cam and some solar window tinting to further sweeten the deal.
The GR Corolla also gets a long laundry list of advanced driver assistance features and even include things like adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist. 7 airbags comes as standard, and even though there's only a reverse camera with a resolution that I would only call serviceable, there's at least front parking sensors to help a little bit, especially when you're parking.
But what I don't understand though is why they've decided to remove this center armrest, because not only do you not have a place to rest your arm on longer journeys, you also lose out a lot in terms of storage space. And all that's left is these 2 cup holders, a USB-C charging port, the 12-volt socket, and a shallow pad to keep a few loose items. That's not very Toyota.
At least with this still being a Corolla, the rear seats are left completely untouched with ISOFIX mounts on the 2 outboard seats, and the boot is also still pretty big too, even with the extra differential underneath. And as a bonus, the flat load floor makes it really easy to slide heavier things in and out of the boot. This review is brought to you by Petronas Premax 97 with ProRace technology, a high-performance fuel engineered for unbeatable power with the world's first advanced dual-friction modifier that removes up to 99.9% of engine deposits, giving you better responsiveness and more fuel-efficient performance. Feel the difference today at a Petronas station near you.
Now I know this is a review for the GR Corolla, but I actually want to start not by talking about its performance, but rather how it's like to be your everyday car, because you'll be surprised at how easy this thing is to drive. Now this car is based on the regular Toyota Corolla after all, which means it has also inherited many of the design considerations that they've made for the road-going counterpart. The first thing that you'll notice is just the view out of the car, thanks to the low bonnet, the low belt line, and most importantly, this little window by the A-pillars. All of this just makes navigating tight spaces like your parking lots that much more easier.
In general day-to-day driving, the GR Corolla just feels very easy to drive, and that's helped by the fairly light clutch that even automatically increases engine rev at the bite point to prevent stalling. And when you're just moping about the city, the automatic blip function also makes every downshift buttery smooth. Even if you're the best manual driver in the world, I'd say that this little feature will really make your daily commute that much better.
The suspensions, well, yeah, it is hard, but if you're buying a car like this and expect it to ride like a Rolls Royce, you are barking up the wrong tree. But with that said, even though it is on the firmer side of things, it's also never crashy, which means you might feel a little bit more of the road undulations or the uneven surfaces, but it's also never trying to break your back. So highway journeys, well, it's a piece of cake on this one.
NVH in here is also pretty alright, at least for a car with this performance pedigree. Wind noise, like its non-GR counterpart, is kept to a minimum, and the only real noise peeking into the cabin is the tyre roar. Although I suspect that a set of less extreme tyres could probably help with that.
Well, okay, I lied, because there's also the engine noise that is just constantly reminding you of the performance underneath its bonnet. And for that, we have to turn up the naughty switch. This thing is fast!
It has the same 1.6-litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine as the GR Yaris, but thanks to the new forged pistons and a higher boost pressure, the tiny 3-pot mill on the GR Corolla now makes 300 horsepower and 370 Nm of torque, or some 39 horsepower and 10 Nm more than its younger brother. In performance terms, that's the century sprint done in just 5.3 seconds, onward to a top speed of 230 km per hour flat out.
It is a pretty heavily turbocharged engine, so it does take a while to spool up. But once you get to the peak torque band at around 3000 RPM, boy, does this thing pull. And I really like how short these gear ratios are, because it's just giving me an excuse to play with this gear lever even more. It has a very mechanical, very raw feeling to it, and every time you push the lever, you can just almost hear the gears in the gearbox physically engaging with each other. Well, the shifts themselves, they are a bit notchy, so sometimes it might be a bit hard to find the gears, but when you're fully committed to changing it, the sensation and the enjoyment, the satisfaction that you get from rolling your own gears, well, it's all just amplified. And when it comes to time to slow down for the corners, well, the brakes themselves are very linear, very easily controllable, and the brake travel is also quite firm, which means your heel-toe downshifts on this thing, it's so easy to do, and when you get one of those right, well, there's no wiping that smile off your face.
And that's not even the half of it, because the GR Corolla has a party trick up its sleeve, and it's the GR4 all-wheel drive system, which can tweak its torque distribution from an even 50-50 split front to rear up to 70% of its torque sent to the rear wheels. And on these kinds of roads, it just gives you a lot of confidence through the corners, almost like it's on rails, even when you already feel like you're taking the corner a little too quickly.
The front end is so agile, like a go-kart. Through the mid-corners, you feel so planted, so composed, and when you need to accelerate out the bends, well, the twin ISD just makes it so easy to put down the power.
And the torque split, you do really actually feel it while driving. When you put it into the rear bias mode, which is what Toyota recommends on these kinds of roads, you can actually feel the rear just starts to rotate a little bit. It's still not the rear wheel drive experience, but it's there. You actually feel it. On paper, the GR Corolla really does sound almost like the perfect car. It's got great power, incredible handling, and it's even got space for your family at the back. But there's just something that's been bugging me throughout my entire time driving this car.
The Toyota GR Corolla is a very competent car, but maybe, just maybe, it's a little bit too competent, if that makes any sense. It's just so easy to drive and so easy to drive it fast, in that it loses out a little bit of the sparkle that makes this car truly special. For the most part, this car here is completely hunkered down onto the road, and it'll do anything you ask it to do without any sort of complaint. And for some people, that is exactly the car that you're looking for, and that's great, because the Toyota GR Corolla is a very good car at that. But for me, I want a car that will just dance with you through the corners, and the GR Corolla just doesn't do that unless you're pushing it really hard. And the problem is, you're never gonna be able to do that on the public roads. It's a shame really, because the GR Corolla really does have one of the most playful chassis in the segment. But when I'm buying a hot hatch, I don't just want to be able to have fun on the racetracks. I also want it to feel alive on my weekend drives, or even in my daily commute to the office. A car like this is supposed to make you feel a little bit scared, even when you're not driving all that fast. And the GR Corolla just, unfortunately, doesn't do that. So what is a hot hatch? For me, a hot hatch needs to be practical enough for your day-to-day lives, but also be fast enough to fight against the supercars on the weekends. And on those two fronts, the GR Corolla certainly nails the beat. But there's one more qualifying factor, and that is fun. For the GR Corolla, well, that just depends on how you define fun. But in a world that's increasingly EV and SUVs, or even the combination of the two, maybe we should all just celebrate the fact that Toyota is still making cars like this. Cars that cater to the enthusiast market, even though it probably makes zero sense for them as a car maker. And there's only one person to thank for, and that is Akio Toyoda-san. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to our channel. And maybe just share the video to your Type R loving friends. And of course, that little bell icon will give you the notifications to our latest videos. For more information on the GR Corolla, do log on to AutoBuzz.my. And this is Woon. I'll see you in the next one.
Our best fuel for unbeatable performance is now yours. Petronas Premax 97 with Pro Race.